Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Global Book Network. I'm Christine Blanchette. My guest today is Tracey Tozier. She's an award-winning children's author of the book series Benny Speaks Up, which is her first book. Actually, another book, Fiona Finds What's Fair, and Mikey Can't Help It. And she's here today to talk about her book series, but she's also a professional educational advocate. And I'm so delighted to speak with you today. Your book titles are a mouthful, but they're a really great message across. Yes.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Christine. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So Tracey, I love the books. I mean, the bulldog, and the illustrations, and I can't help but before we went on air, I'm looking at, 'em thinking, oh my goodness, I love animals. I love dogs, cats. And so tell us, why did you decide to have bulldogs in your book series?
Um, Actually, I got the nickname Mama Bulldog
Yes.
from my illustrator and publisher, original publisher, Jen Novak. And she's an award-winning children's book illustrator, um, as well as a publisher. And we were talking about my advocacy business, and I was describing some situations to her that I frequently encounter. And she said, "Wow, you're Mama Bulldog in there," because I'll be very polite in meetings with school administrations, but once I have latched onto an issue, I don't let go.
Exciting. So, what was the process like for the first book, Benny Speaks Up?
Oh my goodness. I Jen and I talked over dinner, and I started writing that night. And by the morning, I had written the entire book. It was way too long. I hadn't yet learned how illustrations can take the place of a lot of words in a children's book, but she helped me through the process and we edited it down. And I was really, really happy with how it turned out. And that's my most universal book because every child, whether they have special needs or not, needs to learn how to advocate for themselves at school.
Yes, and your book series is for families, educators, and administrators, correct?
Yes, yes, absolutely. It educates the parents as well as the children reading the books, teachers, administrators, anyone who has anything to do with special needs children. And the books can also be good for helping children learn empathy, acceptance, and understanding, so that children who need extra time on tests or need to be pulled out for math or reading don't necessarily get teased when children understand what's the other children understand what's going on.
Yes, like bullying. And
Yes. Oh, there's so much bullying.
yes, and your book is an example and a message, and your work as a professional educational advocate, it's you were drawn to it, right? To write these books because you wanted to help others, but also you're learning too, right? It's and I
Oh,
know you're gonna have another book out. We could talk about that
oh,
later.
sure.
But
Yes.
yes,
Absolutely. I was compelled to write the books, and to become a special education advocate out of my own experience raising two children with learning differences and autism, and wishing that there were more supports and that the experience for me wasn't so isolating. So I wanted to reach out and make sure that other parents didn't feel alone or unheard.
yes, and how does it make you feel, Tracy, that you have these incredible books and you're helping us, but how does it make you feel in the moment that they were published? Well, the first book, how did that feel?
Oh my goodness. It was unreal. I could hardly believe that I was holding it in my hands and seeing Mama Bulldog in real life in
Yeah.
3D. It was so exciting. And I was so hopeful that I could help my books reach as wide an audience as possible.
Yes, and I love Mama Bulldog with the necklace. I think it is so sweet. I just,
She well, she bears a slight resemblance to someone you may have met with the red lipstick and the pearls
I love it. I love
and the
it.
jowls.
I love it. And how do your children feel about your books?
They are so proud and so supportive. My daughter actually came up with the name for the third book, Mikey Can't Help It,
Oh, wow.
because I had actually lost a child before she was born. I was 6 months pregnant with my very first child, and and he wasn't developing with enough of a brain to help him to be able to support life. So the doctors said we need to end this because your life is in danger. And we had to, I was far enough along that we had to have a birth and death certificate and a cremation or a burial and all of that. So I named him Michael after the archangel. And when I said, oh my gosh, I've done a book about Fiona, I've done a book about Benny, I need a third kid, and I can't make Benny autistic after he just had some trouble with math in the first book. That would be confusing. And my daughter said, well, Mom, what about Michael? I mean, he's our older brother, but he'll always be our little baby brother. And I was like, oh, it made me cry.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And it's like and it is therapeutic, right? It's the memory is still there and you are it's
Oh,
like
you never forget. You never forget
oh,
it. But I'm I think that God was testing me and saying, lady, you have a bit of a temper on you. And I think I'm going to make sure that you really appreciate the two little souls that you're going to get to raise.
yes, it's
So,
wonderful. And I'd like to go back to Benny Speaks Up. Can you tell our
yeah,
viewers what it's about?
Benny doesn't want to go to school one day and he tries feigning illness, which Mama Bulldog, like most mamas, see right through. And he ends up confessing that he's afraid he's going to fail his math test because his special education teacher, who was doing his pullouts, has disappeared. And he tried to ask his teacher once what happened to her, where she went, but his timing was bad. And he was told to, sit, stay, and be quiet.
Mhm.
So he hadn't had any specially designed instruction for this particular chapter on fractions, and he was certain he was going to fail the math test.
Mhm.
And Mama Bulldog had to remind him that he had an IEP and explain to him what that was and what she went through to get that for him, and that it was a legal paper. And then he was afraid, oh no, if somebody did something wrong, could they go to jail? Could my teachers go to jail? And Mama had to explain that no, that wasn't going to happen, but that they did need to follow his IEP and that he should, choose the right time and tell Mrs. Poodle that he didn't understand the last chapter because Miss Spaniel wasn't there to do his specially designed instruction. And Mrs. Poodle writes a special note and sends him down to Principal Shepherd, who terrifies him because he's heard him bark at young puppies like he wants to eat them. And Mrs. Poodle promises Benny that Mr. Shepherd will not bark at him. And in fact, when he gets down to the office, Mr. Shepherd reads the note from Mrs. Poodle and he makes Benny a puppuccino.
Oh,
And they wait together in Principal Shepherd's office until the new special education teacher for math shows up. And he's a really cool guy. His name is Herr Dachshund, but the kids call him HD or Hot Dog. And he tells so many jokes in his first lesson with Benny that he didn't even realize that he was learning math. And he comes running home and says to Mom, I learned how to add fractions today. Um, and he was very, very proud of himself for having advocated for himself. And he said, I'm going to try this advocacy thing again sometime if I need to. Now I'm going to do my homework and go outside, before I go outside to play. And Mama Bulldog says, go for it, Bulldog. And she'd been calling him Puppy Dog through the book. And he says, Mom, don't you mean Puppy Dog? And she says, no, I mean Bulldog. because he grew up a little bit that day.
Yes. And you helped, by encouraging and the confidence that everyone is equal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And everyone is important.
Yes.
Every child is important, and their learning is important.
Yes. Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just the encouragement of and that open communication. And no, that's a lovely book. I want to, and Fiona Finds What Is Fair.
Yes,
And can you tell our viewers what the book's about there, please?
of course. Fiona's a little bit older than Benny, and she's starting middle school. And in the first part of the book, and this is actually, torn from real life, as they say,
Yeah.
um, the the school principal decides that Mama Bulldog rubs her the wrong way, and she wants to take away Fiona's 504 plan, which is a plan for in classroom accommodations like sitting in proximity to the teacher, having extra time, maybe a separate setting on tests, maybe having notes provided for you is another example of an in classroom accommodation that fall under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, but I don't get into that in the book. And Mama Bulldog goes to the superintendent of schools, which I did in that district, and he arranged for Fiona to be tested to see if she indeed qualified for a 504 plan, and she did. So she got to keep her 504 plan. And then later in the book, Charlie Chihuahua stands up before a test to say it's not fair that Fiona and her friend Abby get to leave and go to a separate room and have extra time on tests. That's not fair to the rest of us. They get special treatment. And the teacher says, do you want me to try to explain it to him, or do you girls want to try to explain? And Fiona steps up and says, I'll try to explain it to him. And she uses a few examples to help Charlie Chihuahua understand that fair is everybody getting what they need, not everybody getting exactly the same thing. And she uses examples like, what if Mr. Wolfhound brought pizza for lunch, but Billy gets sick if he eats cheese? Should he just not have lunch that day because he can't eat pizza?
Mm.
Or what if George Greyhound, when he broke his leg, what if he didn't get extra time to get to class and a helper to carry his books for him while he was walking on his crutches? What if he didn't get that extra help? Would that have been fair for George to miss all that school just because he couldn't walk to class in time?
Mm.
And Charlie finally gets it and sits down and doesn't say anything else about being fair.
Wow. And Tracey, thank you. And the last one, you talked a little bit about it, but Mikey can't help it. Can you tell our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. Fiona and Benny, are joined in their family by a baby brother, Mikey, who turns out to have pretty profound autism. They love him and they enjoy playing with him so much when they're at home. But when they go out in public, he does some things and he acts in ways that are embarrassing to Fiona and Benny and hard for them to explain to their peers or to other people in the general public. And so they're a little bit, they feel guilty because they love their brother, but they also don't want to be teased at school because of his behavior. And one of them says to Mikey, why can't you just be normal? And Mama Bulldog has to explain that if Mikey could be normal, whatever that is, he would be. And she eventually takes, and Papa Bulldog has feelings. They all have feelings about Mikey and his behaviors, and he has tantrums that are uncontrollable, which is a very familiar scenario for many parents who have raised children with autism.
Mm.
And so Mama Bulldog eventually takes the whole family to see a psychologist who gives the children permission to use the word autism to help explain Mikey's behavior. to other children and to other adults in public, which empowers them to have an explanation that people can understand. And they don't have to feel ashamed or embarrassed of their brother. He just has autism. He's just autistic.
Yes. And just
leave him alone.
Like open.
Right, right. And the psychologist also gives the whole family some very basic beginning communication techniques that are recommended for parents and families who live with a child who has autism. For example, you never ask a child with autism a question when you mean it's time to do something. You don't say, would you like to come over and join the other children for circle time? Because my Benny would sit in the corner with his own books and say, no, get over here. And the teacher would be like, what do I do now? Instead, saying, Ben, it's time to join circle time and listen to what I'm reading now. Oh, okay, that he understood. And it was it reduced conflict, it reduced tantrums, and it just created a much better flow of communication in the family. Those magic words, it's time to.
Yes, it's how you say it.
Yes,
yes. That's wonderful.
And as women, we're so often taught to ask questions when we mean, hey, we want you to do this.
An action, time. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I understand you have another book coming out.
Yes. I'm so excited. This will be my longest book. It's also a departure in that it's not going to be directly about Mama Bulldog and her family. Mama Bulldog is moving more into an advocacy role, which is the role that I play with families in my real life. She helps her friend, Mommy Terrier. And Mommy Terrier's pups are Abby, who we met in the Fiona Finds What's Fair book, and her brother, Jack. And Mommy is having a lot of trouble organizing herself, getting her household in order, getting the kids to school on time. Jack is running around like a crazy pup, and the only time he sits still and pays attention to anything is if he's on his video games. Abby can't find her homework or organize her backpack to save her life. Mm-hmm. And through the stories in the book and visits with a pediatrician, a psychiatrist, and a family therapist, we learned that Mommy Terrier has ADHD combined type herself. And then Abby has ADHD primarily inattentive type. And Jack, who's a Jack Russell Terrier, has ADHD impulsive and hyperactive type. Mm. So it's kind of an eye-opener for parents and children and educators to understand that ADHD can run in families, as can other learning disabilities like dyslexia. Mm. So in this one, the adult parent figure in the book learns that she too has some issues that she chooses to deal with in family therapy. And by the end of the book, her house is tidy, the kids are getting to school on time, they're on medication, and they've had some therapeutic interventions as well, through the school and through family therapy. So things are going much better for the Terrier kids and Mommy Terrier by the end of the book. And Mama Bulldog goes with Mommy Terrier to the IEP meetings for Abby and Jack and helps advocate for what testing would be important to do, and helps them come up with appropriate accommodations and interventions to help with some of the behaviors that are being experienced at school, especially with Jack. Jack gets a check-in, check-out with Coach Josh, who's his favorite. And Coach Josh makes a deal with him that if he meets 3 of his IEP goals, he can join the track team and put his running skills to good use.
Oh, yes.
And I've seen heartwarming things in schools too. Like I've seen coaches do that. Hey man, if you can get it together, I'll let you join the football team.
That's
Or so
oh, that is wonderful. And that will be available in March. Is that right, Tracey?
Yes, it will be published sometime in March. I don't have the exact date yet, but I'll be back on Global Book Network letting people know when it's available.
Yes. And Tracey, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just that these books can be so helpful for typical children as well as children with special needs, because children with special needs are so often bullied and teased at school, especially in the higher elementary school and middle school grades. Kids can be vicious. So these books being in schools and being read by children and parents and teachers can help typical children to have empathy for what their peers with special needs are experiencing. And it could help reduce the bullying and the teasing through empathy and understanding.
Yes. And educating.
Yes.
Yes. Where can we, purchase the book or books?
My books are available on Amazon.com. You can look up Tracey Tozier, books by Tracey Tozier, or the Mama Bulldog book series, or search for them by title.
Thank you so much for your time today, Tracey, and really appreciate you being on the Global Book Network. And I'm Christine Blanchette, and see you next time.
Thank you so much, Christine.